Hi, I'm Alan at B&H. In this video, we're going to test drive the Lomography LomoKino 35mm movie camera, a quirky, fun-to-use motion picture camera that's about as analog as you can get these days. We're going to talk about the camera, how it works, shooting methods, film choices, exposure times, frame rates, scanning, playback options, and essential accessories that can greatly enhance your movie-making experience. The LomoKino is a campy, tongue-in-cheek movie camera that captures 35mm scenes as fast as you can crank them out, and I mean that quite literally. The 25mm lens on the LomoKino has a 54-degree angle of view, which is comparable to a 40mm lens on a full-frame camera. In normal mode, everything is in focus from about 39 inches to infinity. Press and hold the macro focusing button located adjacent to the lens while filming, and you can now focus down to about 24 inches from your subject. The camera captures 144 24 by 8.5mm frames on a 36 exposure roll. Think visual tweets. The camera has a fixed shutter speed of about 1/100th of a second and a choice of 3 clickless apertures, f5.6, 8, and 11, and they can be changed on the fly as needed. Small enough to wrap your hands around, the camera can be used handheld or mounted on a tripod for steadier shots. For framing a scene, the LomoKino features a small pop-up viewfinder. You also have the option of shooting from the hip. Hand cranked at 3 to 5 frames per second, the camera enables you to create very short stories or short snippets for a longer motion picture. To load the film, simply pop off the rear of the camera by pressing the release buttons located on either side of the camera body. When loading the film, advance the film using the hand crank to ensure that the film is firmly on the take-up spool and reattach the camera cover. Advance the film till the rewind crank starts to rotate and you're good to go. A red and white volume display on the side of the camera gives you an idea of how much film you have left. When the roll comes to an end, a small red flag pops up on the top of the camera and the volume indicator appears solid red. Rewind the film using the rewind crank, load up a new roll, and you're good to go again. You can shoot color, black and white, cross-processed, or infrared film. Just keep in mind when played back at 24 frames per second, you only have about 6 seconds of viewing time, so forget about long fade-ins and long fade-outs. The shutter speed remains the same regardless of how slow or how fast you crank the film, so your exposure should match regardless of how slow or fast you turn the crank. Keep in mind the slower you crank the film, the faster the action will appear when played back and vice versa. And regardless of how fast or slow you crank the film, the results will undoubtedly resemble outtakes from a Chaplin movie. When shooting outdoors, the folks at Lomography suggest using ISO 100 or 400 films, depending on how bright it is outside, and set the lens aperture to f11. If you're shooting indoors, use ISO 800 film or faster, and/or open the lens to a wider aperture. From personal experience using ISO 100 slide film, which has a narrow exposure range, my exposures were quite accurate with the lens set to f11 on bright sunny days and 5.6 on overcast days or when shooting in shadow areas. For better exposures and image detail when shooting under low lighting conditions, you have the option of slipping a flash or LED lamp onto the camera's hot shoe. If you shoot flash, make sure you crank the film slow enough for the flash to recycle. LED lighting is continuous, so you could go as fast or slow as you want. There's also a dedicated flash available for the LomoKino, the Lomography Fritz the Blitz 2.0, which features a dedicated LomoKino flash setting. When set to 8th power, you can capture flash-illuminated film stills at the rate of about 1 frame per second. Once you finish shooting your roll, simply rewind it and send it off to your lab. Make sure you ask the lab not to cut the film into strips, instead have them sleeve the film and roll it up. Needless to say, you should shoot a test roll or two before hiring talent, costumes, makeup, and catering trucks. You have a choice of playback options for viewing your movies. For direct viewing of uncut film strips, you can hand crank your film strip through a LomoKinoscope, which makes use of available light and a translucent backlit panel for illuminating your film. Film strips can be scanned in segments with a backlit flatbed scanner using the optional Lomography Digitalizer 35mm scanning mask. You can also digitize your film strips using your smartphone's camera and the optional Lomography smartphone film scanner. Either method works well. The advantage of scanning film with a flatbed scanner and the Lomography Digitalizer 35mm scanning mask is that you have fewer film strips to stitch together. The Lomography smartphone film scanner only scans 4 frames at a time, but it's easy to set up and use. Digitizing your film also allows you the option of correcting exposure and tonal discrepancies between strips. You then edit the images together into a single MP4 file using iMovie or similar video editing software. Here's a tip. Always scan and label your film strips chronologically in order to maintain continuity of movement. And do keep in mind, while each roll of film can only output relatively short takes, there's nothing stopping you from editing as many rolls together as you wish. The LomoKino is the antithesis of all of the high-def, high-tech cameras and smartphones we take for granted these days, but a whole lot more fun to use. My name is Alan. Thanks for watching.
Whether you're a hobbyist or a professional, B&H has the answers to your questions. Experience a world of technology at our New York City Superstore. Connect with us online or give us a call. Our staff of experts is happy to help.